let's go ahead and rewind just a little bit. Where does the idea, Rose, where does the idea come from to want to come on to this show and say, I this is the journey that I want to go down?
Yeah, this is my life journey. This is where I'm meant to be. Instagram, someone on Instagram, was like casting the show. So I sent it to Kelsey and then her other sisters, my cousins, and I was like, let's fucking do it. I feel like I don't know, I always joked about y'all when like doing a competition with each other, and no one believed that we would get there, but we got here. So, and then we got my aunt because her sisters, they just have, a lot of stuff going on, a new baby, and then just like a job, like Kristen's job was kind of hard. So we got stuck with my aunt, but I'm happy about it.
Mom
So
makes
I,
our team.
Happy about it.
I get a call at midnight, my story, and it was midnight my time, and I get a call from my daughter and my niece, and I'm panicking because it's late, right? And thinking there's something wrong, but they asked, "Hey, will you try out for a new show with us?" And so I said, "Sure," because I thought there's no way we're going to get on a new show, and I want to go back to sleep. And so that's how I got in it. And the next day we had a interview.
Hmm.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kelsey, to you, I guess what's the preparation process like to maybe kind of whip Rose into shape ahead of this?
Oh man, let me tell you, because you asked, I'm gonna be honest here. I begged Rose for months to prepare for this show. So I'm like a big hiker in Colorado. That's like my thing. I love to be outdoors. Rose, I begged you for months. I sent her books on bushcraft survival skills. I sent her books on rope tying, foraging classes, REI outdoor compass navigation classes. I did drag you to an archery class with me, but Rose didn't do it. And I love you,
Oh,
but that was tough. That was tough. I did do some stuff on my end just to kind of learn a little bit so I could help you in whatever way I could.
Rose, to you, what's the conversation like with, Kelsey and Laura here about the extraction button? Like, what is there an agreement in place? Is there the desperation moment? Like, what are you telling them about the extracted button and whether or not when they can or cannot press that button for you?
Yeah. I don't think, we didn't really know what to expect, right, going into the show. Like I'm sure you've talked to Divya, and I think her and I were on the same wavelength that, we're gonna be playing a social survival game out together. So in that way, right, like that's what I was expecting. So when they're like, if it gets too hard, your family can extract you. I'm like, well, they're not going to extract me because like I'm not going to like lose to to anybody else, right? So the idea was, not to extract me. It was a very different show than I think we expected, and obviously that I had like prepared for. I was preparing for something else, I think mentally and physically. So yeah, the goal is to not extract me, yet here we are in this interview.
For sure. I mean, obviously, that's the reason we're here today, right?
Uh,
But yeah, take me through day one, right? What's going through your mind? What's the atmosphere like the first couple minutes that you're stepping foot onto this ground to kind of prepare for this next phase, this journey on the show?
Okay, so yeah, because I think this is fun. So first day, I'm vibing, right? I've been like weightlifting, I've been like getting strong. I used to be a scrawny cross country kid, so I was like, let's like bulk up and get ready for whatever. So I'm like stupidly using so much of my energy. I'm lifting these big ass logs, and I'm like, man, this is gonna look real good on TV. I was like, I'm like, I'm gonna look like such a great lesbian carrying this shit. Everyone's gonna love it. And I built a shelter, a singing chaperone. I was like vibing, and then it gets dark. It's like quiet. I'm like, okay, this is kind of shitty. I'm not gonna see anybody. I'm by myself. I'm hungry. I wanted a margarita, so. I was all over the place. I was party vibes, but no party.
There was right, there was no party to
No party.
there was a party of one without anything to party with, right?
Right, right. Blueberries.
Kelsey and Laura, what's it like as the group with you're inside this little bunker area, you're kind of watching it on. What's the atmosphere like for like us viewing at home? Because obviously you have a little bit more of the comfortable seat than Rose did, but at the same time, there's like a game going on. There's strategy going on and like that. So t take me behind that entire process.
Kelsey?
Yeah, I can go. I think one, I love that you called it a bunker. That's like the best terminology for HQ I've ever heard. Um, but I think that literally all of the problems Rose had, we had the literal opposite. So we were in this little space, and I'm gonna keep saying this. We were in headquarters. Headquarters looks like a casino. There's no windows in the whole thing, and there's big screens everywhere that people are just staring at. And we're in there for like 18, 19 hours a day. No sunlight, nothing. And we're in there with 22 other people. Like Rose is alone, just wishing she could see someone, and we just want a damn second by ourselves, right? So like it is really funny. But I think like in HQ, the one thing that is so interesting is we're sitting at these desks, you know, and we're watching our loved ones cry all day long. And it's really emotional in there. Like we're watching people cry for 18, 19 hours a day, and it's making the people in HQ cry, right? It's really hard to watch your loved ones cry. And so everyone in HQ is crying, everyone is on the screen crying. And just mentally, it is a lot. You know, keep in mind you're in this small room, you can't get away, there's no sunlight. So I think like while Rose is doing something very physically challenging, we were doing something very like mentally exhausting.
Laura, you want to add anything to that?
I mean, I 100% agree with what Kelsey was saying. It was, I think that because we didn't know what to expect in HQ, we didn't know if we were going to have to start building alliances with other people. We're trying to play a social game, but we're also, trying to be aware that we may have to do something to this family that we don't want to do, so I don't know. You didn't want to isolate yourself from the other family, so we were forced to be all together and get along. It was mentally exhausting. It was mentally exhausting, and all while we're doing this, we're being watched by very many cameras. You know, so yeah, and watching Rose out there and all of the other families, what Kelsey said, man, that it really was hard, I'm just watching people struggle.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the interesting elements of this show, right? Is you're not just watching your loved one struggle, you're watching the other ones struggle as well. And Rose, to you, what's it been like so far, kind of watching this journey back?
I think there's two things, right? Like I watch it and there's moments where I'm like, damn, like that looked cooler than I thought. Or like when I'm making my bed in episode 3, I'm like, damn, like what a beautiful backgrounds. I wish I would have just laid in the grass and enjoyed it more, right? I'm like, this is amazing. But I can hear, right, like the pain in my voice, and like the sadness and the tears. So it's a weird mix of emotions because sometimes I'm like, oh man, I just want to give her like a hug, and then everyone else too. So yeah, but I also feel like a very different person than I did in that moment when I was on the show. So there's also this like separation, so I can watch it with like awe and like an understanding, knowing that I feel like a completely different person than when I was out there.
It's a
For
great
sure.
show.
For sure, for sure. Rose, final question to you. What's something that you learned about yourself throughout your journey on Extracted?
I mean, I love this question because, like I said, I personally I feel like a different person than I was before, during, and after. I think that we're all meant to continue to grow and learn about ourselves in life, right? But I think sometimes these big, very random, crazy adventures are what pulls it out from us, right? And every significant thing that I've done in my life, I've grown from it. I had some childhood trauma that I didn't even know was there that being alone in the wild brought out, right? So a lot of processing, a lot of therapy, after. And I feel honestly like in the best mental health state that I've ever been. I didn't know that I could be here. I enjoy being alone now, which I used to have a really like hard time with, right? There is such like a fear kind of tied to that. I feel strong and I feel confident and really capable because I'm very proud of myself, for everything that I did. So I'm like a whole new person. And yeah, that's the best thing that I got out of this.